there is a certain contrarian streak that inspired the citizens of Jackson County, Missouri yesterday. Now, the polling suggested it was going to be close. And here we go again, learning that polling is always wrong. Why do they even bother to take polls? Haven't we learned time and again what a scam that is? I'm a pollster. Is that the word? I'm a pollster.
I believe it's a pollster.
I do polls.
Right.
I'm a pollster. I do polls. And they're never right, but I keep doing polls. Sorry, what am I supposed to tell you? The polls don't lie. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. You may be giving us the accurate numbers that you're gathering, and I always wondered about that. Like, how can they take this extremely small sample size of any community and extrapolate that into anything? It just shows you how wrong it is, because the polls were neck and neck,
right,
yes or no, for this measure that would extend a sales tax, pre-existing sales tax in Jackson County, to buy a new stadium for the Kansas City Royals and fund renovations of Arrowhead Stadium. The final tally was 58-42 or 59-41. You know, the Chiefs never suffer a blowout loss at home. They did on Tuesday. They got blown the F out on this one, and they brought out their big guns.
Yeah, they
Mahomes
did.
and Kelsey and Reed, and they're making threats about possibly moving, and I don't think that helped them, because the national mood has been for a long time now, pay for your own damn stadium. You're not going to win a public vote. The only way you're going to get public money for one of these stadium projects is to work the levers of government through the already elected politicians who are willing to use their political capital to be the ones who keep the team around, and out of fear of being the ones who get blamed for the team leaving. In that context, I think the people who, when they're up for election again, don't want to have that on them. But you're never going to win an election that is solely up or down, yes or no, taxpayer money or no taxpayer money for a stadium project. The vast majority, as we see in Jackson County, Missouri, where the Chiefs have won 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, that's not even enough. It's never going to happen. Don't even try to have a public vote in any city, even Pittsburgh, where they're crazy about football. It probably would lose. The attitude would be pay for your own damn stadium. See, I think there's a segment that doesn't care. They're never going to vote yes.
Right.
The segment of the population that doesn't care about sports is always going to vote no. And of those that do, there's a segment of those who say, I love the team, but pay for your own damn stadium.
Right. Yeah, I mean, listen, I understand that. I know we talked about this yesterday. I certainly thought it would be closer, right? I know I made an argument. There is value to, these teams in the city, and I get that. I don't have the exact numbers, and I know that. But at a base level, hey, I know one thing. Our country's sick of, the rich doing whatever they want and doing it whenever they want and just having everything.
Oh, except for one person.
Well, okay.
Except for one person can do it. One rich person who we think is rich. We're not entirely sure anymore. But he sold himself as rich. He can do whatever he wants. All the other rich people can't.
All right, counselor, stay on football here, okay? Stay down. Keep it straight, all right, Slugger?
Let's go. I didn't say who it was.
Yeah, right.
Go ahead.
So, but yeah, I think, to your point and everything, I think we might be at a time here where it's just no, the public has said forget about it. I certainly didn't expect this type of number. Like you said, I was kind of shocking when I saw that. I thought we were going to see something like 52-48, 51-49. Like it was a close one. The people have spoke on this. And then, so, Mike, where does it go, right? That's what I want to know or ask you is, can they vote on it again somehow, some way? Can they table it and figure out a way to restructure language to maybe make the people like it more, whatever, right? Or is it just a loss for the Kansas City Chiefs and now they go, okay, we got to figure out another plan, or we got to start using our own money or take out a mortgage or whatever else?
Well, generally speaking, I'm not going to pursue any strategy that would entail going back to the ballot box. When I've had my hat handed to me and my tail between my legs, 42% of the people are in favor of this. I don't want to try that again.
Yeah.
I also would want to separate from the Royals. I don't know why they were bundled up with the Royals anyway. They're just looking for $500 million for the Chiefs renovation at Arrowhead, and Clark Hunt is going to contribute $300 million of the $500 million for an $800 million project, and we know it's always more expensive than the numbers initially, but still,
Right.
that's the initial number. $300 private contribution, $800 million total overhaul of Arrowhead Stadium, the third oldest stadium in the NFL. Maybe some of the no votes came from, why the hell are we renovating this old stadium? The only thing about it that is still enduring is that it looks good overhead. It looks neat. It has that kind of throwback feel to it, but it looks kind of weirdly modern. Like they had a vision of what would look good in the future, and they almost nailed it when they built this thing. That shouldn't be enough. It should be, if we're going to spend $800 million to make this old place better, like how much more would it take to just build a new place somewhere else in the general vicinity? They need to figure out a way to get the money, to try to get the money through the elected officials who are in a position to divert it to them legally, properly. I mean, that's what happened in Minnesota. They figured out a way, because I remember there was a controversy there back in 2011. Once the folks up there realized the Vikings were going to move if they didn't get a new stadium, Art Rooney, who was on the stadium committee at the time, went up there and spoke to the legislature and told them, look, this isn't just some fun and games thing. If they don't get this, they're moving. That activated this process, and there were people, I think there was litigation over this. Should it go to a public vote? Is there a way to get that money without the public speaking on it in the ballot box? That would be, I think, the first strategy. But you know what, Chris? I got a feeling there isn't, or they wouldn't have gone to the ballot box in the first place.
Yeah.
Why would you do this when there's another way to do it that is proven to be more effective? Work the politicians currently in office to get the money that way. Don't go to the ballot box over it. So get away from the Royals would be the first thing I would try to do. Explore any and all possibilities to work with local politicians without having to go to the ballot box to get this stadium project going. And if it doesn't work by way of renovation, what other communities in the Kansas City area, so you can still call it the Kansas City Chiefs, even though, you know, they play in New Jersey.
Right.
That would be the thing that I would try to do, and I would scrap the plan to renovate Arrowhead and start looking for free money from some community in the area that would build a new stadium. And then the question becomes, do you put a dome on it? That's what they want to do in Chicago. You know why? Because when you make an all-weather facility, you can make more money off of it.
Host a Super Bowl,
you can
the concerts,
have more events
all
there,
that. Right,
Final Four,
yeah,
all that stuff. You can have all sorts of things there. You'll get a Super Bowl as a quid pro quo, maybe. Some places don't because they don't have the hotel space. Maybe. I don't know enough about Kansas City to know whether or not they could absorb all those thousands of people who show up for a Super Bowl. But yeah, you could get a Super Bowl, Final Four, concerts. You could use it on the 350 days of the year that it's not being used for a football stadium.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know that's what every owner wants, right? Now, I mean, do you want to do that? I don't know. That's again goes into conversations that I've heard about my whole life, whether it's through my dad and Bill Parcells or Bill Belichick. Hey, you know, one of the reasons Kansas City's been to the Super Bowl for the last 5 years is it's tough to go play up there in the elements. Ask the Miami Dolphins. They would love Kansas City to put a dome in Kansas City. The Dolphins would be like, sure, please, thank you. Well, now we're not scared about coming up there in January. So that's the football reason why real football X's and O's people don't want to do it. That was part of the reason I know the Giants, the NFL wanted the Giants to put a dome on the stadium up here, MetLife. But I know the Mara family and the Giants were pretty adamant on, no, we want people to come up here and play in the elements late, in January, December, do that, right? So there is that aspect. But, no, I mean, the reality is, Mike, is what you're talking about. That's what cities, owners want, more chances to host events. Kansas City, the Arrowhead Stadium as we know it, or Jiha, however you say that, excuse me, right? That it needs something. I mean, like you said, it's cool. We know there's history there. There's more history now. It wasn't all that cool before Patrick Mahomes got there. It was kind of just like, this is old, right? It wasn't that much history. But it definitely needs an update as far as what we're talking about in modern stadiums and what's expected there. As far as, all the, the luxury suites are not up to date, all the clubs that people can pay to get into, and hey, I can hang here and watch the game. Family areas, I know that's an issue there too. I mean, all of that's an issue to where I understand them wanting that. But I mean, like you said, it seems like the people spoke, whether they want to build a new stadium or not. I don't think the people want to be a part of it in any, shape, way, or form. So why with the way and okay, we're at the greatest wealth disparity. We're back to the Rockefellers and the Carnegies here right now in the world, right? Where the rich is richer than ever and the poor is getting poorer than ever. The gap is as big as it's ever been before. The NFL is pumping out money, and it's got so much money it doesn't know what to do with. My thing when I think about these things all the time, Mike, is why can't the NFL come up with a fund or figure it out as a whole, the Shield, the 32, to where they can figure out to get this done with the particular owners and stop burdening the cities and the public and people who are like, wait, I make $12 an hour, shopping, working on tables and stuff. Right? I don't want to pay taxes for, Mr. Hunt to get an extra $100 million in his pocketbook next year. So that to me would be the thing that, I'd like to see the NFL do at some point.
Well, they do it because they can.
Yeah,
they do it because it works in some communities.
Right.
The Raiders got $750 million in free money to move to Las Vegas toward that great stadium that just hosted the Super Bowl. So
not all
are
cities are Vegas.
That
will
do it.
Right.
Not all cities are going to do it, but most cities do contribute something to the stadium project, and that mood has been changing. And I think it has changed. It hasn't changed back. This isn't a pendulum that's going to swing. The public mood is going to continue to be pay for your own stadium because as we see the numbers go up and up for the National Football League, as they continue this obsession that the commissioner has to get to $25 billion in annual revenue by the year 2027, more and more people are going to say, pay for your own damn stadiums. And what's the counter to that? We don't want to. We'd rather have free money. And then you hear the arguments of all the value that the team brings to the community, et cetera, et cetera. And you talked about not seeing the studies. You can come up with whatever study you want to support whatever position you want. You can take numbers and twist them and torture them into supporting your view about all the money it brings into the community and all the great things. It's 10 days out of the year. Okay, it's not some massive economic impact. And there is an economic impact of having jobs available, but I thought we couldn't find people to do jobs. I thought that people don't want to do jobs that require hard work and go build a stadium unless they're getting paid a hell of a lot of money. There's a lot of different layers that go into it. And, I think the burden ultimately should fall on, within a given community, the team and the people who will be patronizing that venue. And that gets into this whole issue of PSLs, and they've got a controversy in Buffalo now because fans are finding out one at a time
the old
how
PCL
expensive
trick.
the PSL.
PSL. Sorry.
Yeah. But it's a ridiculous concept.
Yes.
I mean, think about that.
I remember
We're going to charge you an extra amount of money to have the ability,
the right
to
sit
then in the seat.
Right. Yeah.
The ticket gives you the seat, but the PSL allows you to put your ass in it. And it works. It works. But you know what? And see, that's where some of these teams are coming up with the private contribution. Clark Hunt going to have a $300 million private contribution. That doesn't mean he's dipping into the Clark Hunt piggy bank necessarily.
Right.
Maybe they're going to have PSLs at the renovated Arrowhead Stadium. So you're going to get it both ways, taxpayer money and a tax on the fans who actually show up for the games. And this is all happening at a time, Chris, where the NFL is realizing the fans in the stadium don't add to the bottom line the way the fans at home do. That's why they went to Thursday night flexing last year. The message was, we don't care about the fans at the venues. We care about the fans at home. We want to maximize the millions of people who are watching the games. We want the best games possible in windows where The most people will watch because that's where our huge money is. Our huge money is not coming from operating a stadium and playing a game there. Our money's coming from the networks that pay for the privilege of televising the game. And that should change the way that teams view everything about stadiums. I've said this before. There are owners who wonder whether it makes sense to have an upper deck on their stadiums. That the extra profit they make when you consider the expense and the revenue of the cheapest seats at the top of the stadium and all the extra security that goes along with it and ticket takers and parking, does it make sense to just build a 40,000-seat stadium, fill that up every week, looks great on TV because it's full, there aren't empty seats, still looks like a big deal, but we have half the attendance, we make just as much money or almost as much profit, and we have a lot less headache. So that's something the Chiefs need to factor into this as well. If you build a new stadium, does it have to be an 80,000-seat monstrosity, or can you do something smaller and charge more money and make the same margin?
Yeah, they are. And that's what all stadiums are doing for the most part, right? And they're not as big as when we were growing up or when, my father was playing. They've downsized across the board because I think, to your point, they've found out the right way to do that. They can increase prices for this, belong to this club, whatever. Of course, then they have the PSLs, the luxury suites, all of that, to where it's people with, endless money that don't even blink an eye at it. And they just go, well, let's cater to them. They don't even blink an eye when they spend money. Let's keep doing that. That's the way it's been. I'm sure there are some stadiums and owners that like, what you're talking about. Now, again, I think some of like the Cowboys, hey, that upper deck there's a lot of people there and they're selling a lot of damn parking tickets and beers and everything like that. I'd have a hard time thinking Jerry and teams like that aren't making money on the upper deck, right? But to your point, this is where we are. And I don't know where, this is all going to go with, the stadium aspect and all of this. It's I'm going to be really kind of intrigued with Kansas City here in the next process, where it goes there. But yeah, it doesn't seem right to always burden the fans like we talked about. And that's where the NFL has got to figure this out.
And the fans are speaking. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's right.
Whatever we think doesn't matter. If these things get put on a ballot, the fans in most cities are going to say, not just barely, they're going to say overwhelmingly, build your own damn stadium. Mayor Quentin Lucas of Kansas City said the people of Kansas City and Jackson County love the Chiefs and the Royals. Today, they rejected plans and processes they found inadequate. Over the months ahead, I look forward to working with the Chiefs and Royals to build a stronger, more open, and collaborative process that will ensure the teams, their events, and investments remain in Kansas City for generations to come. Contrast that with Mark Donovan, Chiefs president. Here's his comment. Now, he had said, if we don't win this, all options are on the table, and one of those options would have to be leaving Kansas City. He said, we respect the process. We respect the decision of the Jackson County voters. We're disappointed. We feel we put forth the best offer for Jackson County. We were ready to extend the long-standing partnership that the teams have enjoyed with this county. This is important. We will do and look to do what is in the best interest of our fans and our organization as we move forward. Let me tell you something. That last part, they don't care about the fans. They care about the organization. Folks, football is business. They say football is family because it's good for business to say football is family. It is a business. And for the same reason that the players are pawns in the presentation of the game, the fans are pawns in the consumption of the game, because they will leave you if they think it's better for business to go somewhere else. Stan Kroenke was hell-bent on leaving St. Louis, even though they were doing everything they could to try to cater to his desire for a new stadium there, because he knew when he crunched the numbers, I'll spend my $6 billion, I'll have this great complex, and I'll make it all back and then some, because it's in L.A. with a huge population base, plenty of money, plenty of rich people willing to just plunk down whatever it costs to sit in the luxury suite, and we're going to do that. Even though St. Louis is doing everything it can to try to keep us, to the extent where they lied, cheated, and stole, as that $800 million settlement or thereabouts would indicate, to get out of St. Louis, to work their relocation policy to let Stan Kroenke do what he wanted to do because he was making a business decision. He didn't care about the fans in St. Louis. The fans you care about when it's time to open your doors and have them open their wallets. But if there's wallets that are going to open wider somewhere else, they're going to go there. That's how it works. If I got to pay for my own stadium, I'm going to pick where I'm going to build it. That may be Clark Hunt's reaction going forward. And remember, they came from Dallas. Clark Hunt still lives in Dallas, right?
Yeah.
I think he still does.
He does, yes.
And you know what? I know the mayor of Dallas has argued in the past they should have a second team there.
Yeah, I remember that, right.
And I don't know how Jerry Jones would feel about that as the landlord of the
how
stadium.
he'd feel about it. I mean, you know that.
Well, he wouldn't like anyone infringing on the Cowboys' turf.
Definitely not the Chiefs right now and Mahomes. That's that.
But let me tell you something.
Yeah.
But the Cowboys' turf is the whole freaking country. Even with the Chiefs having a new dynasty and no indication that they're going to stop anytime soon, the Cowboys still draw more eyeballs when they play on national TV. I think that's part of what we're going to see. Like this plan to build a new stadium in Chicago. I think at some point you entertain the possibility of a team moving to Chicago and sharing that market with the Bears. They already have two baseball teams there.
Yeah, sure. Just be like New York.
One stadium.
Yeah, I hear you. Like
one
New York.
Stadium.
Right.
Yeah. The economies of scale, I think, is the name of the term. You get, and I'm probably wrong, but you get that big stadium and you use it for 20 games instead of 10, like they do in L.A., like they do in New Jersey, like they could do in Chicago. And maybe, who knows? Maybe the Chiefs would explore going to Dallas. I still think the Raiders and the 49ers should have just shared space in the Bay Area.
Yeah,
and the
sure.
Raiders wouldn't have had to move to Las Vegas.
I hear you.
And the Chiefs could have moved to Las Vegas.
Yeah. No. Well. Yeah. I mean, listen. They say everything's on the table. We'll see. I mean, again, the Kroenke thing you bring up, I do think is like a special situation of, had some roots and wanted to be there, and it's L.A. and I got this spot, and it just everything was aligned the right way. Right, where
he was born in Missouri.
I know, but I think
roots. He was born in Missouri.
But I think there was, house out there. Family had been living out there a little bit. That's what I meant. I know I didn't
house
mean like
everywhere.
Born roots. Well,
Stan Kroenke has house everywhere.
Right.
Stan Kroenke probably has a house down the road. He's probably got houses everywhere. But I'm sorry to keep interrupting.
No,
but I hear what you're saying. But it's still a business.
I know it is. I'm just saying
it was a business proposition, and they lied to everybody in St. Louis to make it happen.
I'm just saying with that
they lied.
LA had its own, no team at all. It was all perfect. I was just going to bring up kind of what you were saying there. Where is that city or that team that city that the Chiefs can put the pressure on Kansas City with? That's what they're going to need to get done what they want to get done. I mean, that's the bottom line. Like you always talk about, deadlines get deals done, right? Well, if they're really that serious about it, they got to find somebody else. And yeah, there's no glaring option that pops out. The Chicago second, it's a second team in a city type of thing that pops out more than anything, right? That to me would be the move to make. But that's a bold move, and I wonder too, with even in that, like, would the NFL want that? Would the NFL let them go to Chicago? Would the NFL want them to be in Dallas? That'd be interesting to know their thoughts on that type of conversation as well.
Well, and again, the money's coming from TV. It doesn't matter where you play the games. You can reconfigure these teams into smaller stadiums, two in the same city. There's 2 NFL-ready stadiums in London, for crying out loud. I can't imagine the Chiefs going to London, but there are 2 NFL-ready stadiums in London. If somebody gets that idea, you don't have to build anything. You just go play there. Now, you don't own it either.
That'd be kind of awesome, though.
But
they wear red.
But,
I mean, it just works good. It just seems right.
look at now. Please direct all emails, Chiefs fans, to Chris Simms, and tweets, please. Jacksonville's trying to get a stadium deal done. They're working it through the channels without a public vote. I guarantee you, if they did a public vote in Jacksonville, the answer would be no.
Right.
Yesterday, the most successful team currently in the NFL can't get more than 41% of the vote. There's no way any other team is going to pull it off. Now, for Jacksonville, if they don't get what they want, everybody knows they're going to move to London. That's a given. And the Jaguars fans get mad at me, just like the St. Louis fans used to get mad at me when I used to say, they're moving. The handwriting's on the wall. They're moving. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, fine. and then they moved. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.